God is omnipresent. That means He is present everywhere, all of the time. This is a great and awesome truth about God, but it is one of His attributes that we are not meant to emulate. In a typical band setting, every member has a specific role to play, and only that role. Let's talk about that a little bit more in today's weekly worship thought. In the book, I talked about a time when I was playing with a keyboard player who was occupying every conceivable space within the sonic spectrum. Since they have so many different sounds available to them, this can definitely be a keyboard player problem. But the problem is certainly not exclusively a keyboard player problem. Electric guitar players who also have so many different sounds available to them can also be notorious for occupying more sonic space than they should. But even if you only have one main sound, like an acoustic guitar, or a bass guitar, or even a backing vocalist, you can still become guilty of attempting to occupy more sonic space than you should. Let's talk about this idea of sonic space for a little bit. So much could be, has been, and will be said about this concept, but I want to try to keep it super simple for us today. Each instrument has a specific sonic space that its fundamental frequencies occupy. For instance, the fundamental frequencies for the acoustic guitar typically range from 82 Hz to 392 Hz, with the bottom E ringing at 82 Hz and the 3rd fret G on the top E string ringing at 392 Hz. This fundamental frequency range covers basically every open chord note played within the first 5 frets. For our purposes today, let's identify 4 separate sonic spaces. Without getting too technical and specific, let's generally name them low, low mid, and high. Now let's say that we have a bass guitarist who is obviously occupying the low sonic space, playing primarily anywhere between 41 Hz and 98 Hz. And let's say we have an acoustic guitar player primarily occupying the low mid sonic space that we've identified earlier, between 82 Hz and 392 Hz. If we add a piano player at this point, and if the piano player uses both their left and their right hand in the range of middle C, they will basically be playing in the exact same sonic space as the bass and acoustic guitars. It would be better for them to drop their left hand completely and let the bass player cover those notes, playing with their right hand in the range at or above middle C. In this way, they would essentially be occupying the high-mid sonic space. Adding an electric guitarist to the mix, we should pay attention to the fact that the bass guitar is covering the low frequencies, the acoustic guitar is primarily strumming the low-mid frequencies, and the piano is playing the high-mid frequencies. To really round this out, and to cover as much of the sonic spectrum as possible, we should be intentional about playing up high with the electric guitar. That is the only practical sonic space left, and the electric guitar is perfectly suited to play there. The best musicians have the biggest ears. And I don't mean the physical size of the musician's ear, of course, but I do mean the physical use of their ear. Good musicians listen critically to what other musicians are contributing to the song so that they know how to fit in and to enhance what is happening musically. Always be listening to what everyone else is doing. Be intentional about knowing your role and sticking to it. God is the only one who is meant to be omnipresent. All right, so we're going to get super practical now. We're going to talk about this whole concept of knowing your role and sticking to your role. So we're going to use a song from Polen Band, recorded by Polen Band, called Because of the Cross. And I want to introduce you to our crew. Great guys. Here we got John on the acoustic. Say hi, John.
Hello.
Eli on the electric guitar. What's up, Eli?
Hey, how's it going?
We got Nate on the keyboard. Say hey, Nate.
Hey.
Awesome, and I'm Jeff. And so to do this song, it's a very, very simple progression. It's just an E minor, C, G, and D. Very simple. But I want to talk you through what we're going to do. We're going to know our role here. So on the bass guitar, I'm basically going to take the lower register, start with the E, go to the C, to the G, and then the D, and it's all going to be whole notes. Okay, very simple. John's going to be strumming those same chords. Go ahead and strum that for him, John. Awesome. So I'm in the low register. He's, for the purpose of this video, he's in the low mids. and then we're going to have Nate fill the high mids. Now because we already have a bass guitar and we already have an acoustic guitar, he can basically sit on his left hand. He doesn't need his left hand, so he can play everything in his right hand and take those high mids. Go ahead and play the progression, Nate. Perfect, so we're putting a song together here now, and then we've got Eli on the electric guitar. He's really going to take the highs with single notes. He's going to play the signature riff of the song. It's going to sound like this. Perfect. All right, we're going to put all that together. Everybody know your role, play your part, and let's try this. 1, 2, 3, go. Cool, awesome. So that's how that sounds. Everybody in their part. Again, bass taking up the lows, the acoustic guitar taking the low mids. We've got Nate on the keys taking up the high mids, and then Elijah taking up the highs with that sweet little riff there. Now, just for fun, we're gonna do this same song, the same progression, but we're gonna have everybody be the star of the show here, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and play up the octave, taking every note I possibly can there. John's gonna go ahead and say he wants to play the riff as well. Why not? Eli on the electric guitar, why don't you just add some tasty, delicious effects that no one would ever dream of using for this. And then we're gonna have Nate actually, let's listen to this. Nate, go ahead and take the low register as well. Let's hear this. Oh yeah, why wouldn't you use that, right? So what do we have here? We've got basically a pad that's sweeping through. He's using his left hand now as well. And what else are you gonna just fill in every subdivision, or what do you plan to do?
As many cracks as I can.
Okay, this is gonna be so great. You guys ready to make some good music?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what not to do. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so that's really cool if you're in some, techno garage band or something, but it doesn't really feel like good music. And that's because we just played whatever we wanted to play. We didn't know our role. And so if you're like me, that little exercise made you tense in the neck. I didn't like it at all. So just to calm everything back down, let's go one more time with the song how it should be. Everyone in their place. 1, 2, 3, go. Have you ever been in a band setting, like what was described in the book, with one or more musicians occupying more sonic space than they should? If so, what did you do about it? Were you able to find a meaningful way to contribute to the music? Have you ever been the musician who was occupying more sonic space than you should? Why do you think musicians tend to do that? Do you think overplaying is an example of being a great player or an inexperienced player? What would be some good ways to ensure that you are being a good team player? How can you excel in knowing your role and sticking to it? Is there ever a good time to overplay and fill as much sonic space as you want to? If so, what would be a practical example of a good time to do this? If it is true that the best musicians have the biggest ears, how important do you think it is that you can hear every other musician at least as much, if not more, than you can hear yourself?